Hello, hello. We are the TransPositions. Welcome to the show. I'm Bree McCune. Got Ember Bell right here next to me, and Stephanie Helms down below, and Carly Chardonnay Webb will be joining us momentarily. Please bear with us on that, and we will have a lot of show ahead of us here. Anyway. We got news just coming in as we set out the broadcast almost every week. It's crazy. So so we got stuff right off the edge of the knife. Exciting stuff too, and we actually have more good news this week than what we deserve. But it's the beginning. It's January 2025. I'll take what I can get.
It is in short supply, that's for sure. But, we're doing our best because we know better than most how important it is to have good news right now.
Right.
I'm glad my co-hosts are as sanguine as they are, because this old lady is just too tired. But you know what? I'm also. I don't know. I've always been inspired by the ability of oppressed minorities to laugh it up in the face of just awful shit. So
sometimes it's the only thing you can do.
I'll chuckle along. I'll whistle a happy tune, as they say.
Sometimes it's the best. It's the most you can do. It's the most you can make of it is just to laugh along with the destruction. Sometimes when you see Rome burning, you just got to get your fiddle out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So,
well, for sure. And within this age of FAFO, we can definitely take some Schadenfreude when they screw up so badly and scuttle their own boat.
Yes, well, Schadenfreude. Speaking of scuttling, don't ever talk about scuttling Schadenfreude. That's I sail on. Jesus Christ.
So first order of business today. First order of business. This is coming from looks like Pink News. Okay, and government rejects call for independent review of the cast review. Why would you not want an independent review of the cast review? What are you trying to hide?
Why peer review it? Why peer review? It's obviously, I was like, I don't know. It was some wag was in some side chat saying, well, it was what was it? It was a filtered report, or they basically saying, well, they did a very, they were very selective. It's like, no shit, asshole.
They were, yeah.
Hillary Cass is not above peer review. Why is she
Baroness?
Oh, Baroness Cass, Baroness Hillary Cass is not above reproach. She's not above peer review. She's not above having other people who work in the field look at what she's put together here and decide if
she's once
good work.
Twice, 3 times a lady.
Now, do remember in the middle of last year, about the same time, Her Grace was being elevated to the fucking peerage for, carrying out the political tasks she was appointed to. The scientists at Yale were reviewing the cast review and found that virtually all the claims in it were bullshit. So there's already reviews in progress. The U.S. government just doesn't want to hear it.
Let's see what we got here. The government has rejected a petition calling for an independent review of the cast review into trans youth healthcare, stating that it's fully committed to implementing its recommendations. The report, an independent 400-page review into the provisions of healthcare for trans youth in England, was published in April last year and made upwards of 32 recommendations to restructure the way in which transgender youngsters receive care. Yeah, and they're just going forward with it just on this one person's assessment, not on the assessment of the governing bodies of healthcare that are in related fields to either the surgical or hormonal treatment of transgender youth. Oh no, we're not trusting them. We're trusting Hillary.
Yeah, we're not even using our own scientists. You know, when it's anything else, they're like, oh, we can't trust these European scientists. Like when the French Academy of Pediatric Endocrine, whatever, it's French. The name is complicated. When they made their statement that puberty blockers and HRT for trans kids are absolutely vital and critical, we can't trust that. They're European scientists. We need to do our own science.
Well, this is England, though. This is actually more, they're calling a petition to review it in Parliament. Or Parliament in the UK is what struck this down, not the US government.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the US did oh, we're just going to adopt this thing.
Yeah, it says on Tuesday, January 14th, the government announced that it had rejected a petition for...
Could you turn down your mic just a wee bit? Because you're
peaking
a little. You're clipping a little bit, and you're way louder than me. I mean, I realize how proud you are of your chest voice, but
okay, is that better?
Much.
Yeah, you're
all right. Continuing on.
Whoa! You just went way the hell up again. So. Maybe you
try it now. Are we better now? Yeah. There we go. Come on. There we go. Tell me if that's working for you.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. We got to ask Math. We got to ask MathPig because MathPig brought that up. That's
true. What we hear isn't necessarily what goes out on the stream.
Absolutely. Let me continue on. The petition, which has been criticized by numerous trans groups, the petition, which garnered more than 11,500 signatures, but aimed to reach 100,000 by the 12th of June in a bid to be considered for debate in Parliament. States that trans healthcare should be based on unbiased research that is peer-reviewed. Obviously, it needs to be peer-reviewed. It's so silly to even reject the notion that we need peer review. It adds that an independent evaluation would ensure children aren't being unduly harmed and that a transparent process would guarantee fair access to treatment for trans children as well as restore faith in the current NHS services. All right, tear it apart, ladies.
Yeah, that's not what they want, though. They don't want fair treatment. They don't want safe treatment. They know damn well. Hillary Cass knew damn well. She concealed the fact that the last time they so much as put a temporary ban on puberty blockers, a dozen kids died. It's completely unethical. It's dangerous, and it did lead to deaths. And they still recommended going forward and not reporting on that in Cass review.
You know, look at what we're dealing with. Tory or Labor, Cammie Badenoch, Keir Starmer, none of those people have a scintilla of care or empathy for trans people. The UK is a fucking shit show. I should be more specific. England is a fucking shit show as far as trans people are concerned. And this is all about the national health for England. And so it's not even, you know, obviously that has a wide impact. It's like the way Texas impacts the Texas's Board of Education impacts the school books throughout the country because there's such a huge market. There's such a huge publishing market. This is the issue we're dealing with here. The Cass report is a piece of trash. It's been internationally discredited, but it doesn't matter. It's the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know the study. I am woefully uninformed about the status of Northern Ireland and the degree to which you have self-rule, especially as regards to national health. I know kind of where Wales and Scotland are standing in this whole thing, but this is a very English thing. And again, I've said my piece. Like Hillary, and also thank you, Hillary Cass, for advising Ron DeSantis on his really progressive work in Florida.
Mm-hmm. So the overall point is that they don't care what the actual science says. That's why they went out of their way to not participate in it. It was a political effort with the intention of doing as Helen Joyce recommended and reducing the number of trans people.
Right. Helen Joyce. That name rings a bell. Wasn't she a guest on Richard Dawkins' podcast recently? I think she was.
Yeah. A few months back, and a few other podcasts. She's been doing 3 to 4 a week for the past several months.
Ember, you'd mentioned some deaths attributed to the hormones being withdrawn via the CAS reports recommendations. Was that in the UK? All that?
Yeah, that was when they temporarily shut down Tavistock after the Bell case. Well, that was proceeding. I forget if it was 11 kids or 14 kids, but around a dozen kids died. And Cass knew she was the lead physician on that investigation. And she didn't put it in the report.
Okay. I hadn't looked into that at all. So thank you for clarifying what you were referring to. I wanted to make
it's just a walking screaming tragedy. And it's really, really hard for me to even wrap my mind around the fact that the actual people that are getting hurt are not even considered. They're just not considered.
No, they are considered because it's the point to hurt them. They're not collateral damage. They're the fucking target.
Okay. I mean, I guess I would rephrase. The people, the public at large is not considering, those individual people like Hillary Cass, etc. Yeah, sure. They may be cruel, but the public at large is not seeing the human cost.
Yeah. Well, on a brighter note, I don't know if you all watched this or not. I did. I watched it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it was this series this movie called I saw the TV Glow. Did either of you all watch that?
I rarely get to watch stuff. I've heard the name a few times though.
It's got a undertone of even the author, the screenwriter for it was going through gender transition during the writing of this. So it's the story speaks very much to gender dysphoria and trying to come to terms with who you really are. But it was a really good production, but it seems that it's being ignored for the Oscar race. So this was just a cute piece that someone wrote about it, Samantha Allen. When I saw Jane Schoenberg's debut narrative feature, We're All Going to the World's Fair back in 2022, I wasn't quite as impressed as fellow queer movie lovers were. I found it visually stunning, but thematically slight, relying so much on the central performance that it forgot to tend to its edges. So I wasn't among the hive of show and run devotees who were itching to see I Saw the TV Glow last year, going along with my friends mostly for the chance to drink a cherry vanilla Diet Coke from the movie theater soda fountain, which is why I'm hoping it means something when I say this say it's outrageous that this movie is not in the Oscar conversation. I wasn't expecting it to be one of the movies evangelists come award season, but here we are. Cronenberg's heartbreaking, beautiful allegory for gender dysphoria was not a perfect film. I wanted a final flash of hope given its gutting ending, and I found the voiceover from Owen Justice Smith to be an unnecessary distraction. You can read our discussion of the film plot, and it gives a link to that. But if you want the details, though, TV Glow marked a significant step up from World Fair, and it announced the director as a major talent. This was the year Schoenbrunn became your favorite filmmaker's favorite filmmaker, a name uttered in odd tones in interviews and on podcast. They accomplished something truly remarkable this year, translating a hyper-specific feeling into universal language. Far from being merely a trans film, TV Glow is about all of our repressed relationships with our innermost selves, and this should appeal to Oscar voters about the life-changing power of media itself. For all my minor quibbles, the movie has been lodged in my brain ever since May, with certain beats replayed in my head in much the same way that the Pink Opaque, which is the in-story series that they watch, got stuck in Owens. Nothing else released in 2024 had quite the same impact. But it's not going to get any Oscar recognition. It doesn't sound like it got nominated for anything. But since neither of you all have seen it, we can't even discuss it. Where did Steph go?
Sailed away, I guess, or the boat came unmoored, something along those lines. There she is. I'm broadly familiar with the rough shape of it. There's a character who, and you know, this isn't spoilers because I know nothing about the show and I'm aware of this. It's just out there. But there's a couple of characters who are really good friends when they're young. They watch a show together called The Pink Opaque, a TV show, hence the TV Glow. And during as they grow up, one of them moves away and then comes back and explains that the real world is the Pink Opaque, and they're inside like a dream, or they're in the TV show or something.
They're like a pocket universe, and the Pink Opaque is the real world. But the person runs away in the story and comes back.
Okay.
I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's a whole subplot as to how to enter that world, and it's pretty dark. So
I know fuck all about the show, so I've got nothing to say.
Well, you don't have to know anything about this next thing we're covering to be prepared to laugh about this shit. Look at this. Here we go. We're gonna go full screen.
Chairman, I appreciate the gentlelady across the aisle demonstrating why we need civil rights. We need civil rights to protect all people, especially trans Americans who are under attack right now. I would like to yield the rest of my time to the gentlelady who is carrying the amendment.
I don't even know how we got there, because I tried to.
Are you sure you're in the right mic?
Meaning civil rights. It doesn't just boil down to
not
one
my audio. For the video.
That somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans, so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen. I want y'all to tell me whether or
Do
not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those emails actually have. Chairman, I am reclaiming my time.
You will not do that. I am not a child.
I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not in order.
Let's take it outside.
Point of order.
Yeah, that was literally, let's take this outside.
Hey, let's all take it outside. Why not?
This is our Congress. When they get mad, They want to take it outside and have a fist fight.
Certain members of Congress do.
No.
Yeah.
Which is the best way to prove you're not a child, right?
Right.
Ladies, we do have to recall that I believe it was Charles Sumner was beaten within an inch of his life by some asshole from South Carolina. So there's tradition here.
It's true. They didn't even take it outside.
Nancy's just exactly. So Nancy's just following in this. I forget the gentleman who decided to beat poor Charles from my native Commonwealth of Massachusetts within an inch of his life. But anyway, I'm sure there's a statue of him somewhere that's still there,
commemorates his savagery.
Yeah, that was leading up to the Civil War, wasn't it?
Indeed it was. Yes, indeed. Well, isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I think we might be leading up to another one.
Order. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
No, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point.
Is it allowed in the rules for a member to incite violence against another member? I mean, she wants to take it outside with.
Hey, I have the First Amendment right too.
And so I'd like those words to be taken down.
Young man,
did you say? I believe it's against the rules.
She's gonna call somebody else a young man. She doesn't know about being called child.
She said young man because she didn't want to say boy. Situation. Jesus Christ Almighty. What? Oh God.
Going outside doesn't incite violence. You have a conversation that isn't.
The committee will suspend.
Listen to that gaslighting. Let's take this outside, and she's acting like she doesn't know what that means. Oh, to go outside and have a conversation is what I meant.
I wanted to go to the ladies' room, but I'm not really sure that you belong there.
Right. And speaking of ladies' room, can we just take a second to recall what? Granted, it was in a different state house, but what Representative Zephyr was censured and banned from her legislative body for was considerably less violent than this.
Yeah.
The member will state the words he wishes taken down.
Where she said that we can take it outside, which is direct violation against the rules, inciting violence against another member.
Yep. Yeah. So that was that. Got it from the Advocate right here. A little bitty write up on it. It is MACE, anti-LGBTQ plus Republican from South Carolina, invited Crockett, a Texas Democrat, to take it outside when the latter pointed out that the GOP's lawmakers' constant attack on transgender people, which are objectively true.
And also, I mean, we know this woman makes some questionable decisions, but do you really want to go get into a fight with a person named Crockett from Texas?
Yeah.
It seems unwise. Not good for your long term. I mean, look at what the handshake did to her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Put her arm in a sling.
I think Ember is here remembering the Alamo.
Well, Texas Democrat U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett's office has denounced South Carolina Republican Representative Nancy Mace's actions during the heated exchange on Tuesday in the House Oversight Committee, describing her behavior as a performative meltdown intended to divert attention from meaningful policy discussion. Crockett's spokesperson, Chloe Kessock, criticized Mace for threatening physical violence and resorting to inflammatory rhetoric in a remark to the Advocate. It's clear that Representative Mace was threatening physical violence against Congresswoman Crockett as part of her performative, ridiculous meltdown in the House Oversight Committee room. Her slur-ridden screed exemplifies exactly why the House Oversight Oversight Committee needs to pass Congresswoman Crockett's amendment to reinstate the Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, Kesock said. Kesock further accused MACE of leveraging anti-trans rhetoric to mask her lack of substantive policy proposals. Whenever Republicans need to distract the American people from the fact that they have no real policy prescriptions to protect the lives and livelihood of American women, they run back to the old reliable, demonizing trans folks. Representative Mace's 1990 era slur and bathroom fantasies don't do a thing to protect women. Reproductive rights do, but protecting women's civil rights and liberties falls far below Representative Mace's current goal. Raising money from the MAGA base and dethroning Marjorie Taylor Greene as MAGA's most camera-hungry congresswoman. Doesn't that describe her just right? In previous years, in previous years, Green and Georgia Republican has targeted LGBTQ plus community and specifically transgender people with the most bigoted remarks of any lawmakers. If Representative Mace wants to raise money off the back of qualified black women, she can try somewhere else, Crockett spokesperson added. What did Representative Mace say to Jasmine Crockett? The criticism towards Mace stems from an incident in which Republicans invited Crockett to take it outside. The moment quickly became a focal point of the hearing. As Crockett advocated for reinstating the Subcommittee on Civil Rights and criticized Mace's repeated targeting of transgender individuals, Mace interrupted in a flash of rays. I can see that somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So Mace is going to keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, Crockett began, only for Mace to interject loudly, I am no child. Do not call me a child. I am no child. Mace then shocked the room with her remarks. If you want to take it outside, we can do that, she said, angrily gesticulating. And then, of course, we saw Frost stepped in.
The woman is a cartoon.
If anything else has transpired.
A few things have transpired. Also, I think we're still looking at a thing on TV Glow on the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me switch this over to... Yeah.
But yeah, Congress has been up to some considerable shenanigans this week.
Yeah, go figure. Anyway,
before you, I didn't notice the incredible crucifix earring going on there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just a cross; it was the guy on the cross. Which is
she's a character. Everything she does is a show. Someone shook her hand and she put her arm in a sling for a couple of days. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
well, remember a couple of years ago when she vandalized her own house so that she could post about how her house had been vandalized and to raise money.
You could match the handwriting right up to her own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine what would happen if roles were reversed? Exactly, Maya.
Yeah, and Maya, I just read this in the chat. News will be like this for the foreseeable future, and I'm sorry, but God damn it, yeah, it will.
This is our future.
Oh my goodness.
Ember's got good news for us, though, so at least we have that. Are you guys ready for some good news? It's about good news time.
I did have one more thing that I wanted to discuss in the open.
Yes, go for it.
And Carly's with us now, so
there's Miss Chardonnay Webb. Hello. Oh, we can't hear you yell.
You're muted, Carly.
Live production.
There's a
of
click.
course.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. The tech issues, you know. Click.
Yeah.
I had to do a little work on the Wi-Fi
There we
around
go.
here because the Wi-Fi acted up. But hey, I heard a lot of what you guys had to say, and yeah, Congress has been on some shenanigans. And in Transposition Sports, you're going to see coming up live from the Transposition Sports Desk. You're going to see some of the shenanigans that we saw in the floor debate for HB 28 on Tuesday. I mean, it was the Republicans really don't like us, do they?
No,
Not
they don't.
much.
And
Not
that's
so
actually
much.
what I wanted to touch on. I knew you'd be covering it, the sports side of it in sports, but there's another aspect to what's being called the GOP Child Predator Empowerment Act. They forgot that there's more than just trans people involved here, right?
They forgot the intersex people.
Precisely. Because, you know, when I was young, as people who've been watching for a while know, I'm intersex. And when I was young, I looked like this. Well, I looked younger than this, but I looked like this. And I played sports. And yet I was assigned female at birth. Under the GOP Child Predator Empowerment Act, I would have been forced to play on the women's teams because that's what I was assigned at birth. And reminder, I look like this. They forgot we exist. And what's more interesting is that intersex people, you may recall, are more numerous than redheads. Now, not all of us develop opposite to what's assigned on our birth certificate, but some of us do. There are currently somewhere.
Yeah, but you see, you have the advantage over redheads in that you have a soul.
Well, that's debatable.
And you can travel under sunlight.
Well, with a lot of sunblock, I can. But currently, the NCAA reports something on the order of 500,000 student athletes, as has been covered on Transposition Sports previously. Do either of you two know off the top of your head how many trans athletes are currently in the NCAA?
We're thinking three-ish, 3, 4, under 10.
Dozen?
Well, if you want to, those who are out, maybe 4.
Right.
So we're passing this act to ban something like, let's say, 6 total athletes nationwide. 500,000 college student athletes.
510, actually.
Okay. Intersex people make up something like 2%.
Wiping 10,000 people off them.
I know. We're just obliterating folks up in here.
10,000 children you've taken off the
Well, that's kind of what I'm leading into.
Think
is
of
intersex
the
people
danger that those 6 people present.
for real?
And of course, all those 6 people are at the top scoring in their respective field, right?
Yes, they're winning every medal and breaking every record. All of them, all the time.
Some of them are very, very good.
Every time they take to the track or take to the their new records broken.
Can I just interject here? If trans people, and let's again following Carly's oft repeated thing, when we're talking about trans people in sport, we're usually talking about trans women. All of those pitch, can you imagine how motivated you have to be to compete? I mean, it's not easy to be a trans kid, and win acceptance, be that driven. I mean, sports are competitive. That's the nature of the thing. They're not fair, but damn it, you need some strength of will and character to even get to a tryout as a trans person, and a trans girl specifically. So, you know, These people are obsessed over a problem that hasn't existed and doesn't exist. And
But what if it does?
They're only obsessed over it because it pays dividends. It's low risk, high reward. They can invest. When we're talking in the face of the national campaign, $218 million is nothing. But what did they gain out of that investment in hatred against 0.2% of the population? They gained everything. Because the Democrats were unwilling to stand up for that 0.2% of the population. And the Republicans knew they had a gimme.
And they forgot about Chesterton's fence, which, as I've mentioned before, is the principle where you should make sure you know what a fence is keeping out before you tear it down. Because, like I was saying, there's something on the order of 500,000 student athletes, and intersex people make up approximately 2% of the population. Let's be generous and cut that in half and call it 1%. So 5,000 students will be forced onto the wrong sports team to prevent 6 from playing. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Mac Beggs, the Texas wrestler, trans man who was forced to wrestle on the girls' team. It's going to be that all over the country. And because everybody forgets that we exist too.
Everybody forgets that trans men exist. That's a common issue. They forget who their new rules are wanting to put into the locker rooms and into the sporting events. They don't think these things through. All right.
Yeah,
well,
and Anarchic Fox has it absolutely right in the side chat. More than that, they gain a foothold for the next target. As it becomes easier and easier to go after those folks, and that's the truth.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that often gets overlooked in these discussions is they don't actually give a fuck about trans people. They give a fuck about the ability to police women. We see it with the transphobes who are most active, Helen Joyce and Maya Forstater and Joanne Rowling, Posey Parker. They all go after. Yeah, they all go after cis women. It's nothing but cis women that they're harassing. They're saying you don't look feminine enough. Your hair is too short, or your hair is too long, or you're not wearing enough makeup, or you're wearing too much makeup, or you're too strong, or whatever the case may be.
I don't like the way your abs look. It's like
going after us just gives them license to go after all women, because the point is to control all women.
Yeah. It's the more that your appearance aligns with the traditional European beauty standards for a woman, and the further north and the further west you go, the better. If you don't conform to that, well, you might just be a man. You might just be a man the whole time. That's where we are as of at least the last Olympic Games. So we'll see where we go from here. All right, Ember, since you got a dip, I'm going to give you the last word here.
All right. Yeah, it's a bad situation. There's going to be a lot of collateral damage because these people are not considering the consequences of their actions. The harm they're attempting to do is intentional, but they're going to do even more just because they're completely fucking incompetent. But we get to watch them FAFO.
I think I actually think that carrying along with Anarchic Fox, I think that they know exactly what they're doing. They're just wearing down the resistance. It's the first they came for thing, and I won't quote the whole fucking poem. They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to establish a fascist state, and the way they're doing it is by making everybody be good little Americans. And I hate to see what's going to happen if it goes along the same lines as the good little Germans 8 years from now.
Well, I mean, there's a hotline to report us
18,
now, right?
18 years from now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when, come 1946, there are an awful lot of people that said, oh, I had no idea what was going on. You fucking well do. And you fucking well need to pay attention, because that's what's going on.
All right, let's get into this good news, though. I want to get into this good news. I'm excited about good news because things seem so bleak all the time. So I'm going to force this down your all's throats. So here, take it. It's time to take
It's the agenda.
It's time to take your good news medicine. All right, Amber, thank you so much for joining us. Steph, we'll see you in a minute. Carly, we'll see you in just a few.
Indeed, we will.
Take care, folks. Good news, everyone! Tonight, allies are mobilizing in England. More historic trans awards, a new trans film snares a star-studded cast, and more. Good news starts right now. First up, bad news that turned into good news. Kinda. The Oxford Literary Festival has been criticized for advertising a heterosexual, cis, gender-critical campaigner as part of its LGBTQ+ lineup. Helen Joyce, conspiracy theorist author and a director at a gender-critical campaigning organization, is slated to appear at the festival in the LGBT section. During an hour-long event titled Transgender Identity and the New Battle for Women's Rights, she is due to discuss her book with fellow gender-critical campaigner Julie Bindel. The event description states, quote, gender-critical journalist and female campaigner Helen Joyce talks about her Sunday Times best-selling book on the transgender debate. Both Joyce and Bindel have made contentious claims over the years, with the former making headlines in 2022 by saying, we have to try to limit the harm, and that means reducing the number of people who transition. Dozens of prominent people have taken to social media to criticize the Oxford Festival for including Joyce in a list of LGBTQ+ speakers, with some even calling for a boycott. Lecturer Dr. Natasha Kennedy described it as a Mickey Mouse event and noted that no trans people were scheduled to speak. Trans woman Sophie Malley, who stood as an independent candidate at the general election in July and won more votes than Posey Parker, revealed that she had written a letter of complaint to the festival organizers in which she labeled Joyce and Bindel's rhetoric hostile and hurtful. She went on to say, quote, the Oxford Literary Festival prides itself on being an inclusive and progressive event that celebrates diverse voices and fosters an open dialogue. However, by offering a platform to individuals who actively engage in transphobic discourse, the festival risks undermining its commitment to inclusivity and equality. The presence of such individuals can contribute to a climate of hostility and further marginalize already vulnerable communities. She called on the organizers to reconsider the inclusion of Joyce and Bindel. Calling for a boycott, Tom Coates said, people such as Joyce and Bindel, quote, do not represent our community, and pointed out that there are high levels of support for transgender men and women among the general GSM community. If you're planning to go, he said, or asked to speak, please take the opportunity to call them out, register your disgust, and protest in person. The more cis people who stand up before their talks and make it clear they stand with trans people, the better. Meanwhile, GSM activist and doctoral researcher Thomas Willett wrote, to quite the ratio one must note, quote, Helen Joyce is not an expert on trans issues and gender identity. A fact, one must note, literally established in law. Her background is in mathematics, and she authored a book filled with conspiracy theories. Non-experts shouldn't be given large platforms when trans people and experts are deplatformed from sharing their expertise. Several other social media users also expressed their dissatisfaction with the lineup. One said it is a, quote, shameful and disgusting maligning of our community, adding that Section 28 has long been abandoned and someone should tell Oxford Literary Festival that GSM people can speak for ourselves. Another complained, quote, I don't know what's happened to Oxford Lit Fest over the past few years, but having a panel on trans people that is exclusively made up of cis conspiracy theorists is really tasteless. As of recording, the Joyce Bindel talk is still on the festival schedule for April 2nd, one day off from where such nonsense belongs. We reached out to organizers for comment and received no reply. Sponsors of the event, who may or may not be aware their funds are being used to pay conspiracy theory pseudoscience activists to hold a presentation intentionally seeking to harm the community they're slated to present in place of, include The Telegraph, the EU delegation, Bodleian Libraries, the Spanish Embassy, Blackwell's, Compassion World Farming, Pasture to Plate, the Old Bank Hotel, Gravita Accountants, Felicity Brine Associates, Gold Money Properties, Princeton University Press, the Jewish Literary Foundation, and that one is especially noteworthy given Helen's exterminationalist rhetoric and explicit anti-Semitism, and many, many others you can find on the event page at oxfordliteraryfestival.org. Next, a trans actress is nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award. After joining the team for a Best Picture win at the Golden Globes, the iconic actress Carla Sofia Gascon is getting a nom from SAG as well. The Spanish actress is up for a SAG Award for Best Female Actor in a Leading Role for her work in Emilia Perez, making her the first out trans performer to be nominated in a solo category. The trans musical drama has earned 3 nominations overall, including Outstanding Performance by Cast in a Motion Picture, and Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role for Zoe Saldana. This film will face some wicked competition for that cast award, however, as well as another top film of this year, a bio of Bob Dylan, A Complete Unknown. The story of Emilia Perez follows 3 women. The titular Emilia is a Mexican crime lord who is secretly trans but has never had the opportunity to transition, a relatable problem. Jessie, her wife, who has no idea, and Rita, the attorney Emilia hires to help her escape the cartels and restart life as her true self. It all goes according to plan. Rita helps Emilia arrange for surgery overseas, following which she fakes her own death to ensure the cartels won't come after her, and to guarantee her family's safety, Jessie and the children are sent to Switzerland. For 4 years, everything is fine, but Emilia misses her children and can't leave well enough alone. I won't spoil the story, but suffice it to say, drama ensues. The Screen Actors Guild Awards is set to stream on Netflix on February 23rd, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Shows like this, independent news, are important. I came across a story. It's probably not true. It's got all the hallmarks of being a social media fake story. It says, oh, this person's tale was reported in the newspaper in 2005. I can't find any record of the person being in any newspaper anywhere. It includes an image, a medical image that claims to be an X-ray photo demonstrating the thing that's being claimed. Not only is it not possible for it to be visible in that image, because it would be 2 different parts of the body that aren't shown in the same photo, but it's also an MRI, not an X-ray. There's like all these little red flags. And so I tried to figure out where the heck it was coming from so I could try to get some real information. And I traced it back through MSN, through Reuters and like all the other places. And eventually it led me to the Hong Kong newspaper, the South China Morning Post. And that appears to be where it originated, but even that I can't be completely sure of because it looks the same. Someone copy and pasted a social media post, put it on the online version of a Hong Kong newspaper's website. And then the newspapers in India picked it up and they just copied and pasted it. And then newspapers in Europe picked it up and copied and pasted it. And then newspapers in the United States and other media outlets in the United States just picked it up and copied and pasted it. Because no one in the world still has investigative journalists who actually fact check. It's only independent media like this show where you can have people who even bother to look into things. We do our best, but we need help. Yeah. We need more people doing it for one thing, but we could also really benefit with some funding. You know, this stuff, it takes time, and we're all working our own jobs. We're all doing other things. We're all involved in other projects. I know nobody's got, $296,000 in change like they do for marching bands. But there are ways to help that don't even cost money. Like the video, share the video. Anything you can do would be greatly appreciated and will make our world objectively better. Next, the famous case of Bellinger versus Bellinger is coming to a screen near you. First, let's recap the case. In November 2000, the UK High Court heard the case of Elizabeth Bellinger, a trans woman who had been married for 19 years at that point. She was seeking legal recognition for her marriage, which was legally performed and legally registered at the time, but had since come into question. The key issue was in reference to a single line from Section 11 of the Matrimonial Causes Act, which read, "A marriage shall be void on the grounds that the parties are not respectively male and female." As the judge in the case, Justice Johnson, noted in his decision, Parliament had had the opportunity to provide a definition of what male and female meant, but had neglected to do so, leaving it to the courts to try to blaze a path. Unfortunately for Mrs. Bellinger, there already was a court-decided path, though rather outdated by this point. It was called the Corbett test. You may recall from our story on Sir Ewan Forbes last year, Corbett versus Corbett was plagued by politics, including a sealed law that invalidated trans people for the potential disruption we may cause in primogeniture considerations. But because of the way Sir Ewan's case was concluded, the judge in Corbett could not disclose the decision binding his own ruling, resulting in a messy judgment that did significant harm to trans rights for decades, up to and including the Bellinger case. Corbett ended up establishing a rule that sex should be determined for the purposes of marriage and inheritance by 3 factors: chromosomes, gonads, and genitals. It should be noted here, as it has been in the courts, a trans person who has gone through full medical transition, as Mrs. Bellinger had, is unlikely to have gonads, but does possess the genitalia of the appropriate sex for her gender, as gross as that is to have to be entered into court records, and did not have knowledge of her chromosomal makeup before transition, after, or at the time of the hearing. Therefore, of the 3 criteria, only 1 was relevant, and it clearly classed her as definitively female by that standard of law. Though experts on both sides of the Bellinger case argued there should be additional considerations, such as hormonal sex, psychological sex, and more, and additionally, as Justice Johnson himself noted, the existing UK law was in contradiction with the EU Convention on Human Rights, which established that due to rights of privacy, sex could not be considered in weighing the validity of a marriage, and therefore the UK law should have been abrogated. But he instead ruled that he was bound to follow the legislation set forth by Parliament and deny Mrs. Bellinger's petition. She later went on to try her case before the House of Lords itself, and though she was defeated by legal sidestepping there as well, her efforts set in motion a chain of events that led to the Gender Recognition Act, which went into effect in 2004. With all that said, let's learn about the new film titled Hear Me Roar. Starring Emma Thompson and Christopher Eccleston, and written by one of the attorneys who worked on the case, Ashley Baston, along with Lisa McMullen, the story opens with Elizabeth Bellinger, played by Rebecca Root of The Queen's Gambit, meeting Ms. Baston, played by Anna Friel of Emmerdale fame, and follows them across the tumultuous years of legal struggle. Thompson said on reading the script, quote, "I'm weeping like a baby. It's so moving and powerful and funny. It's a great story with wonderful characters. I loved it and it moved me deeply. It's fascinating and profoundly meaningful and essential." Amy Coop is slated to direct, who said of the project, quote, "It's a privilege to be working with such a great team to tell this incredible story, an overlooked part of modern British history that represented a seismic shift for LGBTQ plus people." Production timelines and when the film will open have yet to be released, but you can be sure we'll keep an eye out for this one. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. Transpositions Weekly is the first and only weekly trans news show in the universe, and we need your support to keep this show going. Contribute at patreon.com/TheTransPositions. Spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here. And tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by yours truly. And if you want your magnificent glory immortalized for all eternity, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.
Hey, I think you're muted.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Of course I'm muted. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to go over this week. If not, I have another quick story here. But if you want the stage,
in fact, I do.
All right, it's all yours, baby.
Well, I've got a couple of stories, but I think I'll focus on one because the other one is just pretty gruesome. It has to do with sentencing of some teenagers who carried out a horrific attack on another teenager last year in February in the UK, and the coverage around the last year's attack was, suffice it to say, not great about this young trans woman who was the focus of the attack. She was stabbed 18 times by his kids, and survived, thankfully. But the news coverage, the news coverage around this whole thing was just so bad. Anywho, I won't be covering that. You'll find the story if you Google. It's well, I'll show this. This is a story in the Independent. There we go. So yeah, it's this story here that came out in the Independent last year. Teenager stabbed in transphobic attack by gang of youths outside a Harrow Rollerblades disco. That's like this person, Sumner Betts Ramsey, admitted causing grievous bodily harm with intent after she brought a knife to the scene. And what happened was, the victim was invited to a Snapchat group to organize a trip to a roller disco, which was taking place at the Leisure Center. After flirting online, this gentleman invited the victim to his home address on 29th of January, and she performed. They had a little bit of sexy time. While they were in his bedroom, Harris was contacted by a friend who told him she was trans, but the victim denied it, having previously been attacked in the past. Shortly afterwards, Harris was contacted again and to be told that the victim was a Teesler, which led him to pick up a knife and threaten, "I'll stab you if you lie." She admitted she was transgender, told to leave. The original coverage in the Times of London was just absolutely horrific. But anywho, I'm not going to cover that one in depth because it's too gruesome. But this is the culture that is being that the story that I am going to present is this is the culture that's being cultivated in England, in the United States, all over the place. So let's go back to Pocket. We'll go back to Pocket and come up with this one. You've all heard of this guy, right? Pete Hegseth, possibly our next Secretary of Defense, who enjoys a little drink every now and again to the point where he can't function. A good guy to head the world's most powerful military. Anyway, here's a story that came out of Pink News, which they say that maybe every now and again they get it right. Senate Republicans use Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing to demean trans people. They can't even conduct a freaking, why on earth, with Pete Hegseth's history of extramarital affairs, heavy drinking, being just generally incompetent, they just had to get the trans stuff in. All right, so here we go. Senate Republicans have been criticized for making demeaning jokes about trans people during the confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. So-called anti-woke news, the Fox News host, Pete Hegseth. Yeah, well, he'd rather be asleep, I guess. Who's opposed women serving the military on the front lines in the military and described homosexuality as abnormal, underwent his Senate confirmation hearing on Tuesday, the 14th of January, where he endured intense questioning from Democrats. Bet they didn't ask him about, Hegseth was questioned over his views on women, his divisive rhetoric, allegations of misconduct, and his qualifications to become Secretary of Defense, while his wife, Jennifer, looked on. Well, that's nice. What the hell? Republican Senator Tim Sheehy was criticized for a demeaning joke he made during his questioning of Hegseth, which also involved asking how many push-ups he could do and what brand of batteries he uses in his equipment. Now, which equipment? She took office as senator on 3rd January, so this guy's a freshman senator. Asked Hegseth, how many genders are there? Hegseth responded, Senator, there are 2 genders. There are 3 lights. No, 2 genders. Leading Sheehy to make a joke about his surname appearing to mock trans people in the process. Isn't this guy's so cute? Oh my goodness. I know that well, Sheehy said. I'm a Sheehy, so I'm on board. What a card. Pete Hegseth, 44, was questioned for more than 4 hours about his ability to run the Defense Department, including its $849 billion budget. Hegseth's views on diversity and inclusion came up repeatedly, with Democratic Senator Jack Reed questioning his previous claims that diversity is not our strength in the military. That guy with a funny little mustache kind of thought the same thing about the United States military, and he found out that perhaps diversity was a strength after all. And that we should not have women in combat roles. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand criticized Texas' support of now defunct "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" policies in the military, which meant that LGBTQ people could serve, but they had to remain closeted. Hegseth also opposes trans troops in the military. If you're a sharpshooter, you're lethal regardless of your gender identity is, regardless of who you love. She, referring to Kirsten Gillibrand, said, Kirsten Gillibrand, not he. Oh, my fucking word. During the hearing, Hegseth explained that he no longer believes that women should not serve in combat roles, adding that he would be honored to serve alongside men and women, black, white, all backgrounds with a shared purpose. Okay, it's Tim Kaine. Questions Hegseth on a 2017 accusation of sexual assault. Hegseth has denied any wrongdoing, adding that he was falsely charged, completely, fully investigated, and completely cleared. During the hearing, Hegseth claimed the allegations were part of a coordinated smear campaign by left-wing media. They want to destroy me. Kaine criticized Hegseth's response to the questioning, asking, you can't tell me whether someone who's committed a sexual assault is disqualified from serving as Secretary of Defense. Jack Reed, top Democrat on the committee, added that he believes Hegseth is not qualified to meet the overwhelming demands of his job. Unfortunately, this quote, unfortunately, you lack the character and composure and competence to hold the position of brackets Secretary of Defense, he concluded. So looks like the guy's probably gonna make it through. But I think it's interesting that, no matter what, every opportunity, every chance they get, this Jack Sheehy Delta Bravo has to make a pun on his name. Sheehy. I was called a Sheehy by a Freeport town councilor when I went down to the town hall to, make a point for the benefit of my town. So it's just what kinds of, forgive me if I editorialize a wee bit, what kind of jackasses are these people? I mean, an $849 billion operation, and they have to make jokes about trans people rather than investigate the man's qualifications? Is it, if the guy says, if Hexus goes, yeah, well, she, ha, 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 that's really funny, dude. And, I don't want that in the military. Well, good enough for me. Pete, you got my vote. What about that time you got so shit-faced drunk you couldn't stand up at Oh, yeah, well, no, that's okay, because after all, who hasn't, Ha ha. This is quality stuff we've got here. And it would be funny if it weren't for the fact these people are going to be passing laws that exclude qualified, patriotic, dedicated people from serving their country in the United States military, because it's just too funny. For the Transpositions, I'm Stephanie Helms.
Nope, you're still on screen.
Here I am.
I got rid of that problem. Don't worry about it. We won't have that problem anymore. I'm a problem tonight. Well, thank you for sticking with us, everybody. Through all whatever I'm throwing at you today. I just wanted to talk about this really quick because it popped up in my feed and I didn't have it on my agenda, but I'm going to just pull it up real quick and just share it with you all because it was sort of sad to see the state of things here. Let me know if you can't hear me, of course. Looks like you should be able to. Anyway, protest to be held after trans woman Zoe Watts placed in male prison. An activist group has planned a peaceful noise demo outside a court to protest against the alleged mistreatment of a transgender prisoner. Protesters are expected to gather at Lincoln Crown Court on Monday, January 13th, to urge the government to move trans prisoner Zoe Watts to a female prison. Watts, a former Lincolnshire police worker, was arrested in December over the alleged possession of a firearm without a certificate in manufacturing a firearm. And I'm not here to speak on any of that at all. If that's against the law in her country and she breaks the law, whatever the penalty is for that. But it should not be, I don't agree with it being in a men's prison. But we'll read on. According to the post from activist group Justice for Zoe Watts, she has been placed in a men's wing of HMP Peterborough, where she has been allegedly kept in her cell almost constantly over concerns for her safety. She is kept in her cell 23 and a half hours a day, because the screws say she's not safe around male prisoners, but they won't move her. A post from the activist group claims to make their job easier, they are deciding whether to move her to the male mental health unit or in the male sex offenders. Yes, that's what they're literally talking about for this poor woman, is to put her in with the male sex offenders. Not even joking. That's their idea of how to handle trans women in the system at this point. Watts has a gender recognition certificate, meaning she is legally recognized as female in the UK. She reportedly has a female birth certificate too. No reports from Lincolnshire police detail Watts as being on a sex offender register. Justice for Zoe Watts plans the protest on the day Watts was expected to appear in court. The first step is showing HMP Peterborough that she's not alone on the outside. The statement continues, they need to know we're watching. And even when transphobic state violence happens behind locked doors, we're willing to fight back. The case echoes that of Sarah Jane Baker, who was held in a men's ward following a public order allegation of which she was found not guilty. During that time, she was denied hormones and administered testosterone, which activists claimed amounted to medical detransition. Yeah, they shot her with freaking testosterone, administered testosterone to this trans woman in the system. Yeah, but that's what's going on in the UK. That's how things are progressing. You want to know why we fight? What we're fighting against? This is it. This is it. This is where my country in the US here is headed. This is what we should things we should be expecting to see in the coming months. And we'll be right here with our ear to the heartbeat of this every week on the TransPositions to bring you the news stories until they shut us down. So we're always, this is the mission statement. This is what we're here for. So stop nonsense like this from happening. Anyway, yeah. We got sports up next for you, and hopefully things will be looking up in that little sector. But we'll see what unfolds for the TransPositions. This has been Bree McKeown. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, sure. Do. Done right, do it yourself. Want done right, do it yourself.
well, I guess we're not quite ready for sports just yet. So I do have. Did have that folder downloaded. You're muted, Steph.
We apologize, folks out there. I snuck back in silently. We do have your stuff, but we're trying to get it loaded up. Vamp time. It's showtime.
I was just waiting for the hit it, Bree. And we'll get
All
there.
right.
But I can do the opening though. I got it right here. Let's go ahead and go with that. But I just would like
Let's go with that.
Mostly Carly would want to be on the screen we're at, but all right.
There we go.
Hello again, everybody. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay-Webb, and tonight we're going to take a deep dive into what we saw in regards to HB 28, the federal trans student athlete ban passing in the House of Representatives, 218 to 206 vote, 1 voting present, and if nothing else, now if you didn't know what the Republicans think about transgender Americans, now you really know. Looking at the text of the bill, Bree, kick it. The idea behind this bill is that it will be a violation for a recipient of federal financial assistance who operates, sponsors, or facilitates an athletic program or activity to permit a person whose sex is male to participate in an athletic program or activity that's designated for women and girls. As you know, Republicans wrote this. And for the purpose of this subsection, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Whatever that means. Because you know, when you translate that to Republican to English, it never works. Now, looking back at what we saw on Tuesday, the author of the bill, Florida Republican Representative Greg Strube, he had a lot to say, but one thing he didn't say was the word transgender. Bree, kick it.
Yet our culture and civilization continue to be subjected to the perverse lie that there are more than two genders, or that men can be women, or women can be men. The distinction between men and women is clear and evident, and the erasure of this division has been promulgated by those in the radical left who seek to dismantle the core foundation of our society. We must never let our country and the American way of life surrender to this immoral ideology. What a shame it is that over the last several years, the radical left has tried to corrupt the minds of many Americans with the ideology that gender is just a spectrum, that it's fluid. You can be whatever you want, whenever you want, depending on how you feel. To them, it's just a social construct. The radical left has taken gender identity so far that many on the left can't even define what a woman is, for fear of retribution or cancellation by transgender activists. They have adopted completely made-up terms, such as non-binary, trans male, trans female. Some even say there are 74 genders. 74. Everything from agender to omnigender. There's even an astral gender, which is having a gender identity where you feel related to outer space. How can the radical left be able to identify that gender, yet they can't even define what a woman is? Not too long ago, progressives would say all that's ridiculous, but today it's their religion. And if you question their lies in fictitious terms, you're labeled a transphobic bigot and canceled. In giving homage to the trans movement, radical leftists have given way to the corruption of the minds of our nation's youth by dismantling the very protections that Congress created to ensure fairness in education and athletics.
Representative Strube, I can tell you what a woman is. A woman is a person who swipes left when she sees your face on a dating profile. But seriously, Representative Stubbe was not alone. Again, he was the architect of this ridiculous bill. This has been the Republican playbook since the campaign. Remember, they spent $215 million to demean and dehumanize transgender Americans. And he wasn't alone in that. Bree, kick it.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
How many of history's most prolific female athletes would never have reached such heights if they were forced to compete against biological males? When will Democrats learn that the American people fundamentally reject their radical agenda?
By allowing men identifying as women to dominate many events in women's sports, the Biden administration has perversely used Title IX to destroy the very gains that Title IX has fostered for young women.
Title IX cannot and will not be weaponized to perpetuate a lie that men can become women. This bill simply affirms common sense and reflects reality. Men and women are uniquely created by God, and no amount of testosterone therapy can reverse biological design.
Under the last 4 years of the outgoing administration, we have witnessed the imposition of a radical gender ideology that has disregarded the most fundamentals of biological principles with an expectation that Americans must redefine their perception and beliefs, no questions asked.
Women have been stripped of their earned titles and live in fear for their safety in the locker rooms of America. Women like Riley Gaines, Lily Mullins, and Paula Scanlon, and so many other unspoken stories. It is an insult and utter disgrace to have them robbed of the triumph by a biological male. We're told that if this bill passed, President Biden would veto it. Well, Mr. Speaker, on November 5th, the American people vetoed the radical left's progressive agenda.
I rise in support of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, which safeguards our daughters from the radical Democrats' agenda to have our daughters and granddaughters compete against and share locker rooms with men.
That bus is never late, isn't it? Hi, Kirby. But that isn't all. From the sublime to the ridiculous, I give you Utah Representative and former New York Jet, Burgess Owens. Kick it, Bree.
This debate isn't about sports. It's about what kind of country we're going to be. Do we remain a nation that stands for fairness, celebrates achievement, defends the rights of our girls and women, or do we devolve into a country that bows to the radical ideologies at their expense? An overwhelming majority of Americans have boldly spoken out for the vision of our country, our society. Our daughters and women are watching. The message to men standing quietly on the sideline to this issue is time to man up. These are girls and women in our lives who depend on you to stand and fight for what's right. Now is the time to protect them from men who want to infringe on their spaces and their sports.
No, Representative Owens, no one's infringing on anyone's spaces or their sports. But then again, what do you expect from a player who plays for a team that averaged 3 wins a year? Hashtag just saying. On the Democratic side, however, the Democrats actually, they kind of found their spine. Would have been nice if they would have found it during the campaign. California Representative Mark Takano, he was outspoken and he led off with what the Democratic strategy was going to be. Talk about the hole in the Republican swing in this bill. Bree, kick it.
I rise in strong, unequivocal opposition to H.R. 28, the Republican Child Predator Empowerment Act. This bill lets politicians in Washington dictate to parents, school districts, and athletic associations across the country who can and cannot participate in their local sports leagues. It creates a one-size-fits-all policy that holds a kindergartner wanting to play soccer to the same standards as an elite athlete. This legislation undermines the very values we hold dear as Americans: fairness, opportunity, and the belief in the power of local communities to make decisions for themselves. Even conservative governors in states like Indiana and Utah recognized this and vetoed similar bills. Just as troubling, the bill's language opens the door to invasive and degrading, humiliating physical examinations of children who simply want to play softball or join a basketball team.
And not to be outdone, Congress's youngest member, Florida Representative Maxwell Frost. And Maxwell Frost truly took the Hope Giselle doctrine to heart. He called the thing a thing. Bree, kick it.
Strangers, adult men, could ask girls as young as 4 years old personal questions about their body. And so my question is, they say it's about protecting girls, but for people listening at home, is it protecting girls to empower strangers to question your daughter about what's in their pants? No, it's disgusting. Is it protecting girls to empower adult men to ask your daughter to inspect what's in her pants while you're not around? No, that is pedophilia. It is predatory behavior. The hate on the other side of the aisle for trans Americans is so much so that they're willing to put all of our children, all of our daughters at risk of a serious problem in this country.
And if you want someone who can really tell it like it is on the Democratic side of the aisle, who else does it better than New York's own Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? The A to the O to the C. Bree, kick it.
The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism. Trans girls are girls. And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all, I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies. I know who loves this bill. Yes, bigoted folks love this bill. Assaulters love this bill. But also, CEOs love this bill. Because Los Angeles is on fire right now. And this is the #1 priority the majority has. Thank you, and I yield back.
Not to be outdone, Washington Representative Emily Randall. Emily is actually one of the few queer members of Congress, and she came out firing rockets against this bill. As Kirby calls this thing, it was clumps in the litter box. I'm inclined to agree, so does Representative Randall. Bree, kick it.
I rise today as a queer woman, once the only girl on my Pee Wee football team, a graduate from a women's college, in strong opposition to HR 28. This bill makes schools less safe for women and girls. It gives every teacher, coach, and parent an opportunity to police who looks feminine enough to play. It will put all girls at risk of intrusive questions and physical genital examinations, dissuading girls' participation in sports. And as LGBTQ plus youth continue to face attacks and targeting from extremist lawmakers in legislative chambers across the country and higher rates of depression and suicide, this bill is doubly dangerous. In my community, I meet young people and parents over and over who fled states like Idaho and Texas and Florida because they want to live in safe, welcoming communities where they know they have a future. Well, there are real problems impacting women's sports, including sexual violence, lack of equal resources, and pay inequality. This bill does nothing to address them.
Next stop for the bill, the United States Senate, where there's already a Senate version that's been put forth by Alabama Senator and former failed football coach Tommy Tuberville. When we come back to transposition sports, we're going to have an athlete's view of this. But first, this. Bree, kick it.
I interrupt transposition sports because I'm cute and I can't. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Carly.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Just so you know, we're going to keep running that ad and keep running that ad and keep running that ad. If nothing else, just to show parents, this, if you're not sure how you support your child who's trans, this is how you do. This is a good start. This is how you do it. Now, more on HR 28. We've heard from the politicians, but how about people who are going to be affected by this? And there's at least one athlete who has stridently come out and spoke her piece, and that is Rochester Institute of Technology sprinting ace Sadie Schreiner. Bree, put up the quote. Sadie Schreiner on Threads on Tuesday said it's evident that the House lacks the information on a bill as harmful as HR 28, when out of the 10 trans athletes in the NCAA, 0 of them were consulted. It's a poorly written bill passed on hateful and transphobic opinion with severe lack of educated discussion. Schreiner went on to say that if any senator wants to truly be informed on the issue of trans athletics, I welcome them to personally talk to me on the reality of being a trans athlete in the NCAA. It's insulting to claim this HR 28 protects anyone. It's nothing more than a direct attack on the trans community. Schreiner has said these things at length in the past online. And last May, she said it to us right here at TransPositions Sports. When Sadie was asked what she would tell those who would be detractors, like the Republicans who can't even say the word transgender. This is what she had to say. Bree, kick it. If you could sit down with people like those protesters, what would you tell them?
I mean, I think I would just explain my story. I think a lot of times there's just this misinformation as to what a trans woman is. We have Olympic studies now backing that there's just biological differences between cis men and trans women that come from hormone replacement therapy. And I would try my best to walk them through that process. But there's definitely a level of, it needs to be a two-way conversation. It can't just be talking to someone who doesn't want to listen. People need to be open to other arguments and having discussions. And I try my best to do that because I want to educate people on all the things that come with hormone replacement therapy and how it influences my time, how it slowed me down. And then I would want to talk about how much track just means to me, how much it means to be a woman, and how much it means to compete in that category, and how, if I can't compete as a woman, I can't compete at all because my times have slowed down so much. I can't just go to the men's division. It would just bar me from competing as a whole.
Now, what has that meant to you? To not only compete, because obviously you love track. If you love the 400 meters,
and no one loves the 400 meters. Let's be real. And I think the race is like the greatest race alive. And I'll even be like, dang, 400 at a Masters meal. I'll be like, why did I enter the 400? You reevaluate your life choices. But what about competing as who you are, as the woman you are? Why does that matter so much?
Track has become my life in a lot of ways. You know, it's had such huge influence on me growing up as like a middle schooler and having, you know, an 8th grader become my mentor and then being a mentor to the kids under me and having the same thing happen in high school and the same thing happen in college. It's really just this great learning experience of mentorship and self-improvement in a way that I don't think I'd get anywhere else, especially with such a sport like track where there's such, you know, focus on bettering yourself and bettering your times. I don't really know where I'd be without it. I think I'd be a completely different person entirely. And for the longest time, I battled with, should I transition or should I just compete as I am because I know it'll be easier? And I tried for a long time to keep that kind of bottled up, but you can only really deny like who you are for so long before it starts to take too much of a mental toll. And so being able to present as who I am, being able to be who I am, being able to compete as who I am are super important.
Sadie mirrors my own thoughts because I feel the same way about just getting out there, hitting the field, and doing what I do. Finally, on Carly's commentary tonight, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what it means to play. 2 weeks ago, the football team I played, the semi-pro football team I play for, the Connecticut Ambush, started practices. On the way to another season, for me, my 3rd season, having the opportunity to play. Something I'm grateful for, and something I'm looking forward to, especially this year. I really like the way the team's looking. But it's not just the opportunity to hit the field, it's been the support I've gotten from a brilliant coaching staff and our owner, Colleen Vaserka, who's been on board with me from the beginning, and of course the now 39 souls, all cisgender, all proud women who are excellent athletes and excellent people, and sisters who have honored me with their presence, their friendship, their sisterhood as we head into another season together. It's with this in mind that I'm going to continue to speak out. And even and beyond January 20th, we at Transposition Sports and Transpositions News and across the Shar networks will continue to be out, be loud, be proud, and make our opinions known. And within that, I want to make an opinion over the Republican representatives in the House right now and the way they acted. You have decided to demonize transgender Americans. Let's understand this, Americans. You know, the bedrock tenet of our jurisprudence in this country is that no American shall be denied equal protection under law. And yet you are willing to do that. And not only are you willing to do that, you're not even willing to extend basic common courtesy. And you showed that on Tuesday. I can't believe, you know what? You showed me who you are on Tuesday, each and every one of you. And you know something? I believe you. And I'm pretty sure that most transgender Americans truly believe you. We have 215 million reasons to believe you every dollar that you spent to dehumanize and humiliate transgender, again, Americans. But I'm going to tell you something, all of you. Think about who you're demonizing. I mean, I'm 53 years old. I've got pretty thick skin. I don't like being demonized the way you do, but I deal with it. But there are many people in this country. I think no one deserves that treatment. But there are some people in this country I really think you need to think about. Young people like Sadie Schreiner. Yes, Sadie is college age, an adult, if you will. She can deal with it, but she shouldn't have to. She shouldn't have to. By every rule and every metric of the NCAA, she is eligible. Leave her alone. And that goes double for anyone who wants to protest her meets. Most of you couldn't find Rochester Institute of Technology on a map. And now you're acting a fool about it. But I'm thinking about thousands of transgender youth in this country who shouldn't be bullied by a bunch of grown men and women, or at least people who claim to be grown men and women. But then again, immature age and maturity are not directly proportional. Nancy Mace proved that. And I'll tell you what, you know something? I'd promote that Jasmine Crockett Nancy Mace fight. And the smart money would be on Crockett to clean her clock. Hashtag just saying. But you're bullying young people. You're bullying kids. And I think every mama bear and dragon dad, every parent of a trans child, if you're a parent of a trans child in Greg Stubbe's congressional district, I wouldn't be mad at you if you went up to him and slapped the taste out of his mouth. Or Burgess Owens district in Utah, any Republican saying this nonsense about children. I'm telling you, some of these parents, let me tell you, you don't want to mess with some parents of some trans youth. You mess with their kids, they will come for you. You don't come for their children. I've seen this firsthand. But I want each of those Republican representatives to understand that you're bullying kids. Shame on you. But I know you really don't care. You really don't care about kids. You really don't you don't care about me. Your stances on transgender people and your stances on African Americans prove that. You really don't care about Sadie Schreiner's generation. The fact that you're going to try and find ways to make college less affordable tells me that. You don't care about young kids. Your stands on gun rights tell me that. But as you demean transgender people, I want you to think about 15,000 who are engaged in something that that many of you flag-waving, patriot, Republican, MAGA types claim you care about. The estimated 15,000 transgender Americans who are in uniform right now defending the country. And these are the same people, and I know a few of them. I'm friends with a few of them who are in uniform right now. And they had to hear President Trump say, we're going to get trans out the military. Remember, these are transgender soldiers, sailors, and Air Force personnel and Marines. They're defending your right to hate them. Think about the sheer insanity of that statement for a second. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you've stuck around, another bug-ridden episode, of course. Sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen. Sometimes not enough. I don't know. we'll iron it out as the time goes by. I'm just glad we're getting some traction. People are actually paying attention. We got a nice stable audience going on here. We love all of you who come in here and watch every week with us. We try to get these episodes cut up and segmented out for different audiences. We know that, especially sticking around for sports, because I was never a sports fan, but sports is really my favorite part of the show. Is watching Carly unload, and how excited talking about sports makes her. Gets me excited for it, and half the time
next week we're gonna be next week. I will be at the Creating Change convention, I'll be at Creating Change out in Las Vegas. So next week, sports will be taking that week off because we're going to be in Creating Change. But we got some things planned in February. We got guests planned in February. We're going to get some people. We got some special people that I've been working on lining up for February. We're going to have some more people on. We're going to be covering some great stuff. And I mean, just a note to our audience, if you're liking what we're doing, hit our Patreon up.
Yeah,
please hit our Patreon up.
We could use all the support we can get.
Please pass the word on. And also, I want to throw out a little invitation. Aiden, Ardenhart, you're always welcome. Samantha Lux, you're always welcome. Katie Montgomery, you're always welcome. Look, I want to put a call out to all the trans influencers, all the people that are doing what we're doing. I mean, let's come together, build synergies. Hey, invite us to your house and we invite you to our house. Because I really believe that in these times, we need to be pulling together. We're all we got, we're all we need. And can you believe we're coming up close to it? What?
No, we're not. We are not all we need. We need everybody who's in our audience right now, all of the cis folk that are watching, all of the good people that come by and contribute and really are here to learn, just like the many people who are in the TACUS audience are there to learn. We appreciate you, and we need you. We need the people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who know how to fight, who know how to call out the bullshit.
And didn't she do it though?
Who can sit there and say you're standing on some bullshit here? And yeah, she did do it, but we need more and more of you to learn how to do it. And part of that is in listening to what we have to say here. And part of that is helping us keep saying it, because the time will, because the people that you saw in all of those video clips in the House of Representatives are telling us they intend to shut us up, shut us out, and shut us in camps. That is what they intend to do. Shut us out of bathrooms, shut us out of Michael Knowles.
Public life.
Shut us out of public life entirely. The whole eradicate the ideology from the whole ridiculous stuff. We need more than us. We need everyone to understand what's coming. And it's not just what's coming, what you just saw in the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. They intend to do what they said they intended to do. And we need you. We need you to support our Patreon. We need you to get us watch hours. If you want to see us continue to have a voice and continue to provide a little bit of the vulnerability, and you have no idea how difficult this stuff is to do on a daily, weekly basis, here in public. We're here. I'm not trying to complain, but damn it, it's exposing an awful lot of vulnerability, and the same thing goes for appearing on like shows like Takis or any of the trans creators that are out there. This takes a lot out of us, but we do it because it's so damned important for people who've never met a trans person to see and hear the perspectives that we bring. And I've been trans my whole 71 years. I have talked about these issues maybe sometimes in the 28 years since I transitioned publicly, maybe not so much. We do make a difference one-on-one. My sport saved my life because of its acceptance, and it breaks my heart to see them turning their back on the principles of acceptance. And it only happens because people close their eyes and fail to listen. And our voices are not numerous enough or sometimes powerful enough to convey what will be lost when we become invisible. And that's their goal.
And then they're on to the next target. Remember, look at what's happening in Idaho right now. They're talking about overturning marriage equality in that state.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking the shots. These people want to turn the clock back. That was the reason why the Heritage Foundation was founded. And the Heritage Foundation, Alliance Defending Freedom. The Alliance Defending Freedom wrote the HR 28. They wrote it. In fact, they wrote it 4 years ago.
Yes, they did.
This is just cut and paste legislation. That's all this is. And I'll say this, nearly every Republican representative who spoke on Tuesday tried to do some Sunday preaching. All of them tried to hide behind. All of them tried to say. All of them channeled their inner Christian dominionist. Every single one of them. Understand who these people are. And here's the thing, and the reason why I put this there tonight and cut those tapes is that they don't deny it. They don't deny a word of it. You literally, did any of you hear about the bathroom bill debate in Montana? There's a Republican state representative named Jeremiah Hinkle. I'm referring to him as Jeremiah Tinkle from now on. This is a guy who said that you need a bathroom ban because trans women get off in the women's bathroom. This man literally said this. This man said this. I kid you
personally,
not.
May I say something to that?
Certainly.
To that, I want all y'all, those of you cis folk in watching us now, or who will watch us later on, and please do keep watching us later on because we need the watch hours so that we can monetize the channel. But anyway, you have no idea. Whether you're a trans man or a trans woman, you have no idea how uncomfortable it is to just go take a piss or a shit in a public bathroom. We do not harass anyone. We want to be, that is the place we want to be most invisible.
And I hate going in public bathrooms like at all.
First off, where are there? There's not that many public bathrooms anymore.
The point is, well, I mean, even in a restaurant or something, it's like have
restaurants are now like you can't use the bathroom unless you're buying something. More and more restaurants are doing that because they want to keep the homeless out. You have to remember.
That's but suffice it to say that is the least. Trans people are the least likely to be aggressive in a public bathroom situation, be it in a restaurant or any other place, simply because, especially early on in transition, you're fucking terrified.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we've been. Yes, that the early steps out of the egg, you are terrified. It's ridiculous.
You're fucking terrified.
But even to this day, my goal is just get in, do what I need to do, get out. Nobody's lingering there. But
Which
you had a guy
usually
like
that's what
you had a guy like Representative Tinkle.
Yeah, yeah.
You had Representative Tinkle trying to say that trans women. I gotta call out that I'm gonna call this story up because we need folks. You need to see that this is for real. You need to see this is for real. This was a real thing right here, and let me share this. This came from you're a good friend of mine. This came from Aaron in the morning, and Aaron Reed. And if it comes from Aaron Reed, you know it's kind of certifiable. This is Jeremiah Hinkle. Montana Republican claims bathroom ban is needed because some trans women like other women.
So because lesbians exist, well.
Excuse me, I got his name wrong. It's Jedediah Hinkle. Jedediah Tinkle.
I like it. I love it.
So we have an individual who is dressing like a woman, changing their name to a woman, but is also at the same time attracted to women. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and purple rhymes with orange in the chat. And as far as I know, only one Republican senator has been caught soliciting sex in the bathroom. But good point, because actually, wide stance. What's his name there? I believe he was a senator from Idaho. As a matter of fact.
But here's the wild thing. Hinkle escalated his argument further with an inflammatory, baseless comparison, liking transgender individuals to some gender dudes. Let's get off on hearing people urinate. I mean, if you want to know more, go to this. Go to this. If you want to know more, go to this because it's for real. I mean, Is
that what? I mean, it sounds like he's telling on himself. I don't know.
So that's where I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Well, but I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of these conservative men,
kinky.
A lot of these conservative men telling themselves, "Let's just be real about this." No, we don't know. No. Can we talk about it? Let's talk about it. Because here's the thing I hear most, especially from cisgender. I'm going to say cisgender conservative men. We don't want trans women tricking these men. No, first off, okay, we're going to talk about this because this was on Threads this morning. I was talking about that. We're going to talk about this. First off, to all the people that claim you're getting no, you're not. I'm going to tell you this right now. 99% of you know what you came to the venue for. Quit. No, don't lie. A lot of you know what you want. Let's go through your case. Let's go through your case sometime. let's go through your browser case sometime. Because
tell us what you want.
The Bible. Hey, tell us what you want. What you really want. Because remember, Hamster.
I want to know.
Pornhub did a study last year on what the most popular porn is in each state. And in all the Bible, in each state of the former Confederacy, the most popular thing was transgender porn.
I know. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? It's just it's so stupid. I was Jesus. This is why it's effective. This is why it's effective because it's just so titillating for these people. It just motivates them. And motivation is the whole thing. And that's what the Democrats really need to figure out is how to say this is fucking ridiculous and not get into the weeds. Just stand up and say this is bullshit. You're sitting on some bullshit here.
Yeah, but here's the thing, bullshit. But here's the thing, they did that during the campaign when Tim Walz said they're weird.
Yes, but they stopped doing it.
But all he needed to do was stay with that. If they could have just said that, that would have resonated.
Keep doing that. They needed to keep doing that, but they backed away from it. Oh, yeah, we can't go there because it's a losing issue. It's like,
as much as this conversation can go on into the midnight hour, we have put our 2 hours in for the Transpositions news, and we're still working out kinks with the call-in show. We'll get that sorted out here before.
We're actually getting closer. We're getting very, very.
I'm looking forward to the call-in show because
I'm
looking forward to it.
We might have some polls up about vote on the names for the audience to vote on the name of the show too, because we haven't got one yet. And it's not gonna be something boring like the Transpositions call-in show or anything like that. It's not gonna be.
No, it can't begin with a T. I have contractual arrangements with the other place that can't begin with a T.
Well, yeah. We should begin with an E. I think we're more about the E than the T over here on the Transpositions anyway.
Yeah.
All right. But keep your eye on our community page because it's fun anyway. I argue with Chuds in there all day long. They're idiots posting comments and they're not good comments. They're not good takes. But if you want to go out there and hang out, also we have the Discord server, which you are welcome to join if you can behave yourself. Yes, everybody's welcome there, and you're also everybody should. Why wouldn't you be a member on the Patreon? It's only like $3, and you get free access to exclusive full interviews that we've done that we only get parts of here. You get the edited part of our interview with Kat Grant, whittled down to just a little niblet of the whole conversation Ember had with Kat. So they unpacked the whole FFRF situation. So you can watch that on our Patreon page. Yeah, we also have there was the Carlisle piece that I did, and I couldn't run it because she guarded her music so tight because Donald Trump was trying to use her songs. So that's exclusive over there too. All that stuff you can go access on the Patreon. Anything that I missed? We need merch. Yeah.
We need merch. We need your support. We do. We need your support. We're not just effing around here. This stuff. Look, if you want to do any kind of call-in show, you got to. We're in. The investment is 3 cents a minute for a line, et cetera, and so forth. It's not free, and we need to. In order for us to do more stuff, as Carly said, interview more people, get these things together and stuff. We need a little bit. We need a little bit of a kitty to make it happen. And Kirby's an excellent fundraiser, but can't do it all. And is demanding, and is, as you heard earlier, is demanding more money now. So feed Kirby.
She's demanding more food. That's what it is. It's more food. She wants more and upgraded cat food. That's what the real concept.
Oh, old nerdy bastard. No, Ben's not the token. There are some trans guys that we're talking to aside from Ben.
No, I'll tell you one thing.
Ben is wonderful.
There will be Kirby's gonna host an edition of Transposition Sports in the near future. We're gonna let Kirby the cat host one.
All right.
That's awesome.
I am hungry, so I'm going to wrap the show up.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night, y'all. I'm hitting the end stream button now, Bree. Bye.
Bye.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm just making sure that we actually are